March the 17th, and every estate agent and letting agent in the UK is looking at their P&Ls, looking at their businesses and wondering what the hell to do. The bottom line is this, is that if we're not going to change and adapt, we're not going to get through this. And the best way that we can do that is work together. Put aside rivalries and work together to ensure that we, as an industry, can improve and thrive once we've got over this shit show. Oh, shouldn't we say, sorry, Sam, we said we wouldn't swear, but there you go. So what we've got here is basically, we went for the cream of the cream. We didn't have the cream of the cream. We went for the full fat. We ended up with the semi-skimmed. But tonight, we've got Michelle from JDD in Lancaster. We've got Paul Travers, who is an excellent estate agency coach. We've got Jerry Lyons, who is a PR estate agency guru and content writer. We've got the king of Leicester estate agency, Luke Sinclair. We've got JP, hold the banter. We've got JP from the Northeast with all his books. I tell you what, he's got more books than the management books than the English Library, British Library. We've got Alan Batt, the king of Wigan, a estate agent who's been there and done it. Sam Hunter from Home Search, who I know a lot of you use. And finally, the main man himself, Stephen Brown. And tonight, hopefully, we're going to answer, I'm going to ask these questions, and hopefully this lot are going to perform like steals. And it's, how can you work from home as an estate and letting agent, keeping healthy, keeping sane, keeping your family sane, keeping your colleagues sane, with the right mindset and opportunities that will bring from that, and then moving on to staying visible as an awesome estate agent in lockdown to be sure that when we're past this shit show, we can be better, awesome, and actually take the advantages and the opportunities that this will always rise. So let us start with the prettiest person in the room, and that's got to be, well, who do you think is prettiest? Obviously, Michelle goes without saying. Boots, where's Boots? Actually, where is Boots, by the way?
Boots has gone through to the front room. She's with the grandparents.
For anyone that doesn't know, Michelle's dog's called Boots, and basically she runs the show. Okay, let's kick off. John, Paul, working from home, what have you actually done with your staff? In terms of making them remote?
Yeah, so the first thing is we spoke to all the various, our stakeholders, such as, telephones, CRM guys, and, IT. And we've effectively said, like, how do we make it so we can get them to work from home, but also from a business perspective, make sure it's measurable, it's manageable, and we can track the work they're doing. So again, we're basically just picking up the workstations and implementing it and installing it in the houses. We're putting software on all the stations. We've got remote check-ins. We're using Zoom calls for management meetings and stuff. So we haven't got that far in the Northeast yet. So it's not as bad as what I think it is down south, but it is coming. So we've got the things in place ready for that.
Do they have electricity in the Northeast?
No, we've just got the hamster on the wheel.
Okay, Luke, anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, like John Paul says, it's making sure it's measurable, trackable. You do trust your colleagues, but you do have to have safety nets in place to make sure. And I don't think it does any harm in knowing that there are those safety nets in place, that people are being tracked and measured and managed, because it prevents them from potentially stepping to one side. But it's, like John Paul said, make sure you've had those conversations now with your telephone providers. Most of the estate agencies have got voice over IP and all of that kind of jazz, and they use cloud-based systems. So it should be easily achievable. But again, there's lots of support out there. If you're an agent and you're already struggling, maybe to think, who can I turn to? There's lots of agents out there that will help you do it. So,
Paul, you've worked from home for many years, and you've actually been chucking some great stuff out on social. What are your top tips for staff working from home?
Well, it's funny actually. Although I've worked from home, sort of like as a self-employed person for 10 years. Before that, when I actually worked as an estate agent in a foreign country. While I had an estate agent in London, I was living in Amsterdam 3/4 of the month. And what I found was the most important thing was to keep in touch with the team quite regularly through the day, actually, not going to isolate and being very good work, but to really make sure that and speaking as well, not messaging, actually speaking and hearing a voice at least 2 or 3 times a day made a real difference, because it's very, very easy to go into like this kind of real, like a hole, actually, and to kind of isolate yourself and to sort of dive into your screen and never come out again for hours. There's no one pulling you out of it. There's no banter, you know. There's no one sitting next to you anymore. So it's really important to break away from that. And I would recommend having specific times of the day where you either have a team check-in, probably 3 times a day, or you buddy up with just one person. You have like someone that's going to support you, and you support them, and you have someone to talk to, and you check in, you know, okay, you said you were going to do this. How have you got on with that? Do you need any help? What are you going to do next? That kind of thing. It really works.
Okay. Can I suggest that people put their mutes on unless they're going to speak, because otherwise we're getting a bit of a reverb. I know that might be a bit difficult for you, Alan, being a bit of a technophobe. Bless him. But anyone want to put their hands up and add, obviously, unmute themselves to anything that's said so far? JP, far away. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, it's just something what Luke had sort of said about trusting people. And there was a comment made today about if you don't trust them and you need to put on one of the forums that if you need to put some sort of tracking software on, then you don't trust them. I don't think that's the case. I think you need peace of mind as a business owner. These are massively unprecedented times. There's going to be a lot of your staff are going to be very, very worried, and quite rightly so. Work is not going to be at the top of their priority list. So it's going to be the family. It's going to be staying safe. It's going to be, you know, keeping busy within the home life. Now that's all well and good, but you need, the business has needs as well. So we have to explain to them in a very delicate and empathetic and sympathetic way that the business must trade on, because let's be honest, if it doesn't, then they're going to be out of a job. So it's not about not trusting them. It's not about you've picked the wrong person with the wrong attitude or the wrong values. It's almost sort of putting their minds at rest by saying, look, we're here to support you. We're here to nurture you. We're going to get through these hard times. You're not alone, but I need you. I mean, you know what I'm going to say. I need you to pull up your big boy and girl pants and actually just get on with it. And when you're at home working, you know, we don't expect you to be a robot. And if little Timmy's fell over or little Rosie needs a little bit of attention, that's fine. But this software that tracks and these regular call-ins and conference calls, like Paul quite rightly said, I think it's very, very vitally important, and it's how you spin it to your staff. Talking about staff, has anyone had any difficult conversations? Michelle, you put your hand up, so far away.
So not difficult conversations. One of the things that I thought was very, very good yesterday came from Peter Knight's webinar on Rightmove about breaking the day down to 90-minute segments. And I felt by doing that to actually say to somebody, right, for the next hour and a half, let's go and do this, and then let's regroup. They can regroup over a Zoom call with us, cup of coffee, as if we're meeting by the kettle. How have we got on? And then what's the plan for the next 90 minutes? It's difficult, as in you don't want it to be, I'm a big brother watching you, and there's going to be an element of trust. But I completely agree with Paul. None of my team have worked from home before, apart from me. So I think they need direction. I think they need help. But I also think they need the freedom to say, our child has fallen over, but we need to make sure they don't go off for an hour fixing something.
Anyone else? Sam?
So we enacted our sort of work from home strategy today. It's been in place and we knew what we were doing for a little while, and today we thought was the right time to sort of pull the trigger on that. And it's not to sound like an echo.
Nice rubber plant, by the way, in the background.
Yeah, thank you. It's dying at the moment. It needs a good water. So our plan is to have 8:45 a.m. meetings as we do now. Development will have their meetings. Our commercial team will have our stand-ups. We're doing it like the screen is now where we all look like the Brady Bunch, but it's what are we doing today? When are we doing it? Who are we speaking to? What did we learn yesterday? What were the key messages that we actually delivered to our market? We've put all kinds of thoughts of selling on hold, and now it's about serving and about communicating and understanding what people actually need from us, and more customer development rather than sales. And someone mentioned earlier in the conversation that it was just staying in touch and making sure that you're here to help. But one of the reasons why we do that 8:45 meeting is not to micromanage people, but to instill a sense of responsibility to each other. Because JP, you put it really nicely, I think, and I was probably a bit more blunt. And I used a really lame chain analogy, and I said if one ring falls apart, everything could fall apart. And so we're going to do meetings in the morning so we all know what we're doing, and then between myself and the other management team and our sort of senior leadership, we're taking 5 people each to talk to at the end of every day to make sure that they're okay. We're available in the middle of the days as well, but we want to bookend the days to make sure that, one, we keep some semblance of normalcy so that when the world gets back to normal, and it will, it's not so difficult to go back to what we already knew. And so a group communication at the start and then a one-to-one communication at the end is how we think we can set up to not micromanage, but really make sure everybody understands their responsibility to everyone else in our team. And that was really well received. It was like I was blagging it. I wrote a presentation last night. We had our first meeting at 8:45 this morning, and I pretended to know what I was talking about, and we got through it, and everyone was like, all right, I'm going to back this in as well, and we're going to see how it goes. And then tomorrow, we'll see how that goes, and we'll learn and we'll adapt. But if we stick to those plans, and the other really simple thing that we said was just communicate more than you think you should. And that's ask loads of questions. We're in a position now where we've got a load of new people, and we want to keep all our new people. So questions and answers are more important now than ever.
Okay, going over to Alan. Alan, you've been there and done that with challenges in the market. And I know we haven't had viruses, but we certainly had the 87 crash, and we had the 2008 crash.
Which 87 are you talking about, Chris? The 1887, because Alan was there as well.
Yeah, I saw that one as well. Yeah, you're right. The 87 crash was far more significant for me than the 2007 crash, because I'd never been there before, Chris. So it was all new to me, and that was more severe than the 2007 crash. Following the 87 crash, the 2007 crash, there's one thing I would say is that all of us were going to be very lucky if we haven't got more difficult conversations to cope in the future. And what you need, I'm going to. Are you okay, Chris? Can you hear me? I've got a bit of feedback. I've had one-to-ones today with the staff. And one or two were difficult conversations. But out of it, we've had some really good positive conversations. And I'd like to pick up on a point that Sam said. It's certainly apparent to me in the last week that our communication with our staff has got much better by default. We're talking more, we're including them, and as business owners, we have a responsibility, and John, I picked up something from John's mastermind in the last 2 years. I've shied away as a business owner from including my staff in certain conversations. They welcome it, and we have a responsibility as business owners to include our staff in more considerations. There's a famous general, I think it was Patton, but I may be wrong. Right, and I read it the other day in a great book called Shoe Dog about the story of Nike, is that if you give people a problem, right, they may surprise you with their answer. And we saw that today, and you can see the staff that are stepping up, and also you can see that some will need more support than others because they don't quite get it yet. Right, because they've not been there, as I hadn't been there in 87. And at that time, it was disastrous, right? We nearly lost everything. And we went from 14 staff, right, to a month later to 3 staff. It was totally different in the 2007 crash, Chris. But I want to tell Jerry and the rest of the other people, I've got a very important announcement about working from home. I want to dispel the rumour that working in your pyjamas is a no-no. It's an absolute must, right? It is brilliant. You feel superior, Jerry, right? That's just a side issue. But certainly, John's a great advocate from this and is part of our mastermind. Include your staff. They deserve it, they warrant it, and you've got the responsibility to ensure that they're as fully informed as you can possibly be.
Let's bring in Stephen Brown at this point, because he is a guru of these things as well.
I wouldn't go that far, but all I would say is out of every crisis is an opportunity. We are totally in uncharted waters at the moment. But if you look at everything that happened, so you talk about 2007, 2008, look what happened after that. You talk about 9/11. I remember, 9/11 and the July bombings, literally the phones just stopped, full stop. You were having really difficult conversations. You were having people literally on the day of exchange, which they may well be doing now, dropping or gazundering by 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 pounds, and you were having challenging conversations. But there are so many lessons that I'm already learning from, and I think we're just at the start of this crisis. I think there's a long, long way to go. But, again, one of the things that I would start doing is what are the lessons, and Alan and JP have been saying and Sam all about the communication that you need to have. So, communication is something that I think is going to change and be a massive lesson for all of us. Everybody now has got procedures in place with viewings. It may well be that this is now we start doing the way we do property viewings. That may change in the future. How we lead our team. I mean, every single person in the business is a leader, and it's up to them to show their true leadership skills now as well. As business leaders, we need to give them every support. Not only are we, I know Paul and I, Jerry, Chris, yourself, we run our own businesses. So we're effectively all self-employed. So, I haven't really seen one announcement on the self-employed. But, if you look at the business owners, all your staff most probably are really worried about what's going to happen, how they're going to pay their rent, how they're going to pay their bills. And as leaders, we all need to step up and we need to give them some support and love, because actually we're going to have to make some incredibly challenging decisions. And as businesses, our cash flow, we're going to have to start looking at absolutely every single bit of, money. So again, another lesson, why are we leaving it to crisis to be looking and reviewing and, not just doing it all the time? I know, there's a lot of people talking about Rightmove holidays and Zoopla holidays, but shouldn't this be being done all the time? And I know, JP, you preach about it a lot, and rightly so. But again, is this another lesson that we need to learn? So, because we will come back stronger, and I'm convinced the property market will, there'll be a massive bounce. So I think you need to prepare as well. Nobody knows how long we're going to be. We will go into isolation, but what you can do at home is you can control what you can control. So we can't control the virus. That's here. But we can control our actions and what we do. So whether it's prospecting, getting on the phone. I got prospected today. I had a telephone call from an accountant. First thing he said is, can I save you money? So obviously, yep, I'm interested in saving money. I don't quite know how he got my number. but he said, "Are you interested in saving money?" So I said, "Yes." So he said, "Well, that's fantastic. I've got a consultant who would like to come and meet you and have a 15-minute consultation." And I thought it was Alan Batt playing a joke on me. And I said, "Are you being serious?" And he said, "Yes." So I said, "Well, have you not listened or read what's going on in the world?" So he said, "Coronavirus." So I said, "Yeah." "So you want to have a face-to-face meeting with me, do you?" And and then he said, "Oh." So I said, "Look, if you have phoned up and said, look, I can save you money, and also I'll have a 15-minute Zoom call like we're doing, then obviously it's a totally different conversation to can I have a face-to-face meeting with you?" So, you know, that's not how to do it. But make sure that, you know, I think there's so many opportunities working at home, and I know that's the second question, so I won't answer that now. But I think it's all about, you have to be a leader. You have to have strong messages to all your team. I think you have to be very sympathetic and empathetic, because every single person will and is going to suffer.
I'd like to go to Jerry and then Sam afterwards, please. So Jerry, let's talk about, we've got a few things flying around here. We've got the leadership, sympathy and empathy, or I'd like to leave the preparing for the opportunity a little bit later in the video. How the hell do we create leadership when we're all shit scared of our own family without having to carry our team along with us?
I just think it's the word communication has been mentioned a lot, and now my point's going to be very succinct, and that's, at times like this, one of the best pieces of advice I had from a PR mentor in the past was, think like a Dalek. I was like, what? And he said, when a Dalek goes exterminate, 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 swap the word exterminate for communicate, communicate, communicate. So you have to communicate to your suppliers, to your clients, to your prospects, to your staff. You know what? You might even have to communicate to your husband or wife. You know what I mean? And that would be something in errors. So yeah, just communicate, communicate, communicate. Use that mantra.
Sam?
I want to throw back to Stephen and ask him to go a little bit deeper on a point that he just made. That was an interesting story about your accountant and just having a complete lack of empathy for what's going on in the world. I've spent my day talking to estate agents today about conversations outside. Do you want me to come around your house and value your property? And so, because if you ring someone and have that conversation with them now, it doesn't matter if you're an agency, it doesn't matter if you're an accountant, it doesn't matter if you're looking to clean somebody's house, or maybe you're getting if you clean someone's house. Now I think about that, might be a bad example. But to make that phone call, like, someone has let that salesperson down by not communicating or training them on the kind of conversations they should be having. And that's probably going to lead us into a different conversation point today, or we were talking yesterday about whether we do this as a weekly thing and we actually guide people through what they can have conversations about. But Stephen, because I don't have the answers, and I know you probably have a better response than me, how would you have handled, maybe Alan's got the answer, how would you have handled that? Like, maybe one example now from anybody in the group who wants to put their hand up of what can you call people about?
Okay, can we go for Paul, because Paul put his hand up first, then we'll go to Alan afterwards. Paul.
It was just about when Jerry said communicate, communicate, communicate. And one of the agents I work with today said, oh, he'd been on the phone to suppliers, you know, kind of seeing what was possible. And I just wanted, when that crunch hit in 2007, 2008, I can't remember the year now. And I had a new homes agency then, right? And the first thing that stopped, was new homes, Banks wouldn't lend on new homes, and they wouldn't lend to developers building their new homes. And we had no business overnight. And so the only thing to do was to phone every single supplier and say, this is the deal, this is what's happening, we don't want to go under, but what can we do? And it was, the thought of it was like, it was this real sinking feeling of having to phone all of these people, but it worked really well. It was really amazing because we didn't leave anyone hanging. We didn't stick our heads in the sand. We just got on and dealt with it and got in touch with people. And it was really extraordinary what came out of it, actually. And it strengthened quite a lot of business relationships that we had with people, because we were like, we're here to stay, and we didn't go under. But it took time. you know. But it's really good to get those calls, I think, out of the way. Although I am aware that we're sort of suddenly in this kind of disaster zone conversation where, of course, it may not be. We don't know, right? No one knows, nothing. But I think it's a really good idea if you do have concerns as a business right now about, you know, because you may not be cash rich, right? Is that you get those conversations out the way and you start talking to people and you don't have them hanging over your head.
Okay, Alan, and then I don't know if anyone else put their hand up. We'll go Alan next.
2 points. Going back to the the 87 crash. You're exactly right, Paul. I didn't know what to do. I didn't ring anyone. We hid behind doors and we had more fear than we should have done. So to pick up on your point first, Paul, and then I'll come to Sam's point. In the last 24 hours, I've rung every single supplier, except possibly HMRC, but I've rung every other supplier. And I've had very positive conversations. And you're absolutely right, Paul. I can't think of any that were not expecting the call, right? So that's the first thing I would say, is we have rung every supplier and we have done what we've had to do. So you're absolutely right, Paul. With regards to Sam's point and the accountant with Stephen, we've already started, Sam. We started last week, actually, and we've carried it on this week. We ring every valuation and ask them, right, in terms of how do they feel? Do they want me to do a virtual valuation, a remote valuation where I can talk over the phone? They can send me a full FaceTime photographs, a FaceTime video, a Zoom video, wherever they want. And bar none, 100%, Sam, have turned around and said, what a fantastic service, thanks, Alan. Some have taken me up. I've just rung one guy before this Zoom call because I know he had surgery, Chris. He cancelled last week because he wasn't up for it. I said, Andrew, you've had surgery. Do you still want me to come tomorrow, or would you like me to get prepared and I'll ring you at 10, and instead of a physical valuation meeting, we'll have a virtual remote meeting. He went, Alan, I'm fine, you're fine. I really would like to meet you. I said, I'll be there at 10. So you've got to listen to the needs and wants of your potential client and offer them both. That's what I've done, Chris. So great points from Sam and great points from Paul that I can only say, I can only support.
Michelle, and then afterwards I'd like to go to Luke, please. Michelle, you've got your mute on.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Thanks. So I've been very similar to Alan, the fact that I've called all of mine to say, what do you want to do? Obviously, I've had to ask them the coronavirus questions about being in contact or travelling. Nobody's said no to me yet. I have now started wearing gloves. I've made it into a joke saying this morning, I don't know, I look like a mass murderer, a burglar, or some sort of mime person, but I hope you're not offended. And they've all taken that in good humour. I've even given 3 pairs of gloves out today to people. But on a positive note, I've actually had 3 instructions today. I'm calling it stockpiling. So I know we're going to come to marketing later, and I've shared some marketing ideas that I'm going to be doing for them whilst things may be quieter. But if we can stockpile as an estate agent now, when things do get better, hopefully we can hit the ground running. And I've also been using Stephen's prospecting ideas. Stephen knows the telephone petrifies me, but I've actually found it easier to call people because I've got something to call about. Was that my mother?
We didn't see it, don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. But yes, Stephen's prospecting ideas in the past, I found it harder to call to say, do you like me? Do you want to use me? Where now there's people who are at home, bored senseless, and the phone rings and they actually welcome a conversation with you. A lot easier.
Before we go to Luke, Stephen, give a little bit, not too much, but a little bit of what Michelle's talking about.
just asking questions. So how things have progressed, what stage are you at, what's happened since I came last time, and let them talk. I think you've got to be careful when you make the phone calls now with what you're saying. You know, if you're offering, if you know they're offering a face-to-face meeting, I think definitely, you know, Alan's great example there, and what Michelle said. You've got to ask them if they're happy to see you. Fantastic, and you meet all the necessary criteria. That's great, because I think you've got more chance face-to-face. I definitely would recommend stockpiling, because I think it's the agent who has the most properties when we come out of this. There will be a huge bounce. Buyers will want to spend money. So I think it's a great opportunity.
So,
So for me,
sorry,
I'll be I'll be calling them. It may just be a customer care call that, you know, one of my colleagues, one of my listers came to see you 3, 4, 5 months ago. You know, we're just looking to improve our process. You know, can I ask you a few questions? What did they say? You know, it may actually be calling your existing clients to say, you know, thank you. I'm going to once again thank you for the business you've given us. Can I just ask, why did you decide to instruct us? And then again, you can get some ideas from that. I think now's a great opportunity to speak about financial services and remortgaging. And I also think now's a great opportunity to be reviewing your landlord's property empire as well, remotely. So, you know, I think speaking to, and then again, it's organising. You know, I prefer 45-minute time slots to do that. But again, to me, there's loads of opportunities. And I agree with Michelle. People are going to be sitting at home. People are going to be bored. And I think people will welcome conversations with people, but just don't, as Sam said, don't go in for the kill. Don't be too salesy.
Luke, anything you want to add to this?
Well, definitely with like what Alan said about the remote consultations or advice meetings, and just to echo what Sam said, don't be in there for the salesy, be there for the moments that matter with them, to give them advice, let them use their time whilst they're stuck in home. Perhaps they can do a bit of decorating, do a bit of tidying up, that kind of thing, to get their property ready. You can give them the advice that other agents aren't giving them. You can build up your future instruction book that's going to carry you forward into 2021. And the technology's out there. It doesn't cost you any money. We've all got mobile phones. We've all got iPads or computers with webcams in. We can do Zoom, WhatsApp calls. You can use something like Calendly if you want to send a link to them to say, book it in yourself, book it in when it's convenient for you. And an example of that was today. A lady cancelled her appointment. She didn't want anyone coming into our home. We said, that's not a problem. What we offer for our overseas clients is the opportunity to do a remote Zoom call. When we've been round to their home, we could be at the home. If it's not tenanted, we'll go through it with them, or back at the office. And wow. And it kind of blew their mind that is offered. So kind of be out there and be first to market in your area for it.
Okay, anyone put hands up if they want to add anything extra to this? Michelle?
Mute, sorry. One of mine, I've moved from today to Friday because she was concerned being over 70 catching a train. And I just simply said, why don't you send me the keys? And then from the house, I'll FaceTime you. And we can have a conversation with me in the property about my thoughts as we walk around. And obviously I can show you what I'm talking about. And she took very, very well to that. I've also had a family who are in the 70s, and this has highlighted their actual need more than ever to move down south to be close to the daughter. So those opportunities are out there. Yes, they might be slightly delayed, but again, it's a brochure I'm going to get prepared before the weekend, because they're going to have to obviously self-isolate, and then I'll have everything ready and signed up. And they know I'm ready to go.
Hey, you could even get the people to take photographs with their iPhones of their properties.
Yeah. I've got a self-isolation client, and she's asked me, because I've talked about a video tour today of a house, because she's self-isolating because her husband's got symptoms, could they create their own video tour with them inside it? So I said, let's try it and see.
Would you like me to produce a video teaching vendors how to do video tours?
That would be good.
Great, Chris. Great idea.
Yeah, I'll get my mother involved with that one. That'd be fun. Right.
She would certainly appreciate it.
I will get that sorted and give it out to the industry. Jezza, what you put your hand up?
But just as you were talking about, obviously I'm not an estate agent, sort of from a communications background, but I did think, I had an idea with these. Oh, it's the over 70s that getting self-isolated, right?
Yes.
Is that correct? Yeah. Alan, what are you going to do? No, not really.
Hey!
Well, if coronavirus is still here in 20 years' time, mate, I'll think about it. But this moment in time, we're a long way off that, Jezza. Right?
Yeah, no, I'm only joking, mate. No, I thought it might be a nice thing to do, to call people on your list that are in that age bracket. Just ask them how they are. Do you know what I mean? Because they'll be at home, they'll be bored. Just say, look, can we help? Do you know what I mean?
Well, go do some.
It goes back to communicate, Jerry.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that you guys have all been on about all this time, right? What we're talking about tonight is nothing new, is it really? Stephen, prospecting, JP, procedures, accounts, cash flow, costs, Jerry, Chris, content, right? Not sure what Paul does yet. You'll have to give me more information on that. But this is nothing new, but it raises the level. It raises the standard. And JP's always said, in terms of doing P&Ls, in terms of doing costs, what this is going to do for all the agents who react to these type of videos, Chris, this is going to make us stronger and fitter. And as everybody keeps saying, the opportunities of the other side, right, we'll be in the agents will be in a better position to do that.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, Paul, if you just want to add something on, and then we'll move on to these opportunities and what they are and what we should be doing, what our staff should be doing in terms of getting the message out there, because when it does come back, we need to be top of centre. So, Paul, make sure that you unmute first then, mate.
Am I unmuted? Am I adding to that, or am I starting this other one?
You can do what you like, mate. We're pretty much going.
I often do. I think, well, okay, well, let's move on to a bit about being visible. Whatever. I would say, obviously, whatever you do online now is kind of your main route, isn't it, to everything, if people are off the streets. But I would say it would be a good time. Everyone's going to have more time, right? Every person that's working in an estate agent is going to have more time. So I would suggest that everyone ask themselves, well, what could we start? What could we build? What is something that we're not doing now that we've been meaning to do for ages and we've never got round to it? Or what is something that's kind of, we're not really doing the most that we can with it and we could, improve upon it? That could be around, maybe building your email list or whatever, like if you haven't really got round to that and you don't have a way of staying in touch with past people, past clients and customers, as well as present and possible future ones. Anything that you can do online, there's all sorts of stuff you can do. It doesn't even cost any money at all. But really, I think that is a really good question for people to ask. Okay, well, what could we start then? What could we build? What could we look to the future? For the future's there still, right? It's coming. So what can you do to kind of, when you come through this or during it, that's going to really make you stand out and be interesting?
Okay, let's start off with Michelle. She put her hand up. Get ready, JP. You're falling asleep there, mate.
No, I'm not. I'm hearing live now.
Okay, so for me, I mean, I'm from a marketing background, and I've always believed that content is very important. And of course, the way marketing and advertising is changing. Facebook, of course, has got two sides to it. You've got where you can put your stuff on your page, get your friend to share it into groups for free, and you've got your paid for content. But I'm going down the route now of e-guides to help answer people's problems. And there's something people can create free of charge on Canva and upload to the website, and then send it out either by email lists, via Facebook adverts, on valuation appointments, follow-ups. I'm also in the process of creating area guides for all my individual postcode sectors, which I can then add content to, whether it be business interviews, whether it be local school reports, whether it be the public green spaces and parks. So I've just done a video at weekend about how well-being is really important. One of my areas happens to be 20% green space. I think that's a really major thing for that area. But by sharing it then also into that community, i.e. the postcode, you're going to get your local people interacting and still keep your name visible, your company visible, and show that you're interested in their area, if that makes sense. And it's free, it doesn't cost anything.
Right, I know you've all got a lot to say, something. Stephen, make sure you unmute. You're next.
I think keeping visible is really, really important over the coming months. And, you know, you do the amazing stuff on video and you talk about being the digital mayor. And I think now gives everybody a massive opportunity to be delivering your content, Jerry's content by video, adding value, giving people tips. So, you know, if, getting people sell ready. So if people decide to sell in 3 months, 6 months, whenever it is, give them these tips, you know, for e-guides as well. So I'll be constantly doing videos, asking people about the historical aspect of their towns, what they like about Lancaster, Newcastle, Wigan, Leicester, Sussex, what it's like to be a closet Spurs supporter, Jerry, and various other things to, you know, just to add value. It's all about adding value and getting the videos. And Jerry, you're not allowed to respond to that. So I'll become the Google of your area. And for individuals, I think now's a great opportunity to learn. So, you know, there's all my esteemed colleagues on here and loads of other people out there share loads of amazing content. Give yourself, so you talk about your 90-minute segments, give yourself a 90-minute segment every day to learn and improve yourself. Go onto YouTube, go onto LinkedIn, listen to some podcasts. Rumour has it the Estate Agents podcast is the best one out there. Not sure about World Class Agency or kerfuffle. You're not allowed to answer some, Hunter. But also the what's it? Landlord Farming and Vendor Farming podcast is excellent as well. So there's leadership podcasts. How can I forget that? The leadership stories as well. So there are some exceptional podcasts out there for people to learn. Mate, you know, now you've got the time. You know, if you're going to be at home, maybe if I was a boss, you know, actually, and this is what's interesting, just thinking aloud, and it's great, you know, talking to these people. And Sam was saying about having these morning meetings and to include people. Well, why not at midday get everybody on and have a Zoom call and say, right, I want you to listen to JP at 9 o'clock and you're going to report on what Jay, you know, a lesson on his podcast, the Estate Agents podcast, right? What do we learn from that? And et cetera, et cetera. So now you're including all your team in learning as well. So, and then everybody's going to improve. You know, we all want to raise the standards of the agency.
Before we carry on about talking about communication and going into a lot of detail, the what's the name the elephant in the room is getting over your fear of video. And I'll have some of that, Luke. I'd like to start with Michelle, then go to Paul, then go Jerry, Luke, Paul, Alan, Sam, and Stephen. So I want to go in that order out like an S shape. I want to talk about your getting over your fear of video.
Okay.
Michelle first, then Paul, and then Jerry, and then all the way around. Go.
Who first?
Michelle first.
Sorry. So it's like I've had two fears. One, Stephen with the telephone for prospecting, and you, Chris, with the video. So for me, it took me 6 months of badgering between both my colleagues who'd done the video course with you, Chris, and you basically telling me to do it. A couple of personal reasons why I actually went out and did it. My first one was absolutely dreadfully bad. Yeah, I see Chris nodding there. But I did what I was told and I posted it, and I got some encouragement despite the fact it was bad. And you just go on, and after you've probably done your first 20, I hate to say that to anybody listening, it actually becomes easy. Your first 10 you'll hate, Your next 10, you think, okay. And after 20, you kind of think, you know what, sod this. It's a camera, just do it. And you kind of rattle it out.
What was holding you back doing it? What were you fearful of?
Okay, don't forget I'm a girl. So the first one was my appearance. As a teenager and in my early 30s, I was a severe acne sufferer, hospital case. So if I get a pimple, I think it's a crisis that's happening, and I think people see me as that spotty kid. The second one was I had a speech impediment as a child. So very bad stutter, I still talk too fast. So there was that fear there. And yes, there's certain words. I mean, every client now has a personal bonbon video from me, and there are certain words that I mess up, but it's part of who I am, and I just brush over it now and laugh. But yeah, fear.
Paul, how did you get over your fear of video?
What got me over my fear of video? Well, it's interesting what Michelle said about your first 20, because there were, after I'd done about 3 weeks of it, I got sick and tired of the way I looked on video. I was really like, I'm tired of not being me on these videos. I'm really sick and tired of not being me. And I just made a decision, that's it, from tomorrow I'm going to be me. What got me over my fear? But it wasn't my fear, it was my shame. So just if we were to go back maybe a year from now, the lady who's a friend of mine, but also my business coach, we were doing this one funnel away challenge, click funnels. And it was all about, the challenge was to do a video a day for a year, right? And she got on and did it, and I said I was going to do it. And then 270 days later, I noticed when she had done her 270th video, I hadn't done one. And I hadn't noticed that 270 days had gone past, right? And I was like, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? But also, I was very new to LinkedIn, right? So I was very new to, the whole thing was quite new to me, even though I'm helping agents grow their business. In terms of business to business, I hadn't really done any of that. So in terms of that, I just sort of let people come to me through my blog and all that kind of stuff, yeah? But I decided that I wanted to do something else and wanted to kind of, do stuff on LinkedIn. And of course, the only real way you're going to start doing that properly is by having videos so people know who you are. So it was an essential thing that I had to do. But yeah, it was the embarrassment of somebody doing a challenge at exactly the same time as me, and then doing 272 videos in the time I did 0, was just like, for God's sake, what are you doing? So yeah.
Jerry, how did you get over your fear?
First of all, I had elocution lessons, which they ain't worked. No, I think really mine's just more technical. I've got to be honest, never that bothered about speaking into a camera. It's more the technical side of it that sort of makes me just think, pass it off to someone else. So I need to do more video. I'm very conscious of that. Yeah, but I will say one thing. I think it needs to be video that's quality, not just video for video's sake. So I think that's quite important.
Sorry, Jay, I'm not laughing at you, I'm laughing at Luke.
Luke, let's be frank,
Yes.
Your first videos were pretty robotic. But
Yeah,
now,
they were shocking.
But now you flow like the lava from the volcano. How did you get over your fear?
Just practice. You just got to keep doing lots and lots of videos, keep doing them, and they gradually get 1% better each time. And you've got to, and one of the questions that and you talk about it now, Chris, is that how would you feel maybe in 18 months, 6 months time, 12 months time, knowing that you had the opportunity to be the video king, queen, digital mayor of your town, and someone else has taken that parking space? Because there's only a space enough for one person to do that and to take that glory and to be that person in the town, whether or not it's of your area, the town, the digital mayor. And it's good fun. Once you get into it, it's good fun, and you haven't got to spend a lot on equipment to do it as well. A phone with a decent microphone that you can plug in, or even the cheap wireless mics now are even good. But it is fun, and you get business off the back of it, but it's not going to be an instant win. It's not going to be a quick win. There is no golden or silver bullet, and you've just got to keep plugging away and keep doing it. As with prospecting, you don't ring up a prospect to hope that you're going to win their business straight away. You've probably got to court them over a number of months and years, sometimes over 10 years sometimes. But eventually it comes, that investment comes back.
Very quickly, Michelle, and then back to John Paul on the turn. Michelle?
Yeah, I mean, it's the bit about Luke said about it being fun, because I actually now really enjoy doing them. I mean, my husband says it's anything for 5 minutes glory of fame for me. But you've got your market update videos, which actually do generate me business and also help me convert ones that I've actually done as evaluations to actual instructions. So once I've done it, I will use that content from a database. I'm also a fan of written content, which is a big thumbs up for Jerry, because in my city, I'm a university, and that's really important. So I will do my market update as a written blog and a video to suit both markets. But the replies I get back each time I send it out on the database, there's always 8 or 9 people who are real serious business.
JP, videos.
Believe it or not, I've actually never been that bothered about going on video in terms of I've never really been scared. I just think you've just got to actually put it in perspective. I mean, bloody hell, you're going on video for a minute and a half. Who gives a shit? It's not that difficult. You've just got to man up and you've got to actually just emotionally anchor what you want to achieve with the action. Are people going to call your names? Yeah. Are people going to say you crap or you messed up a word? Yeah. But they're going to criticize you no matter what you do. So you might as well be as successful at what you do and still get the criticism.
Before we move on to Alan, and I know Paul just put his hands up. Has anyone ever had any big, nasty, derogatory comments?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I give them every day.
Yeah.
John doesn't need to go on video for me to give him some nasty comments, Chris.
Definitely not.
Right?
I'll just say I'll meet you on about 5 minutes, big fella.
Paul and then Michelle, but very quickly, and then we'll go back to Alan. Paul?
I just wanted to, I'm sorry, Luke, but I want to dispute something that you said. You said there's only room for one agent, like one king or whatever video in a town. So all the evidence is definitely that when one agent is brilliant, all the other agents definitely don't follow suit, right? There's normally one that's really out there in a town, but there's no rule of physics that says that's the case. So I would just want to say that if there are any agents watching this that now think, oh, there's one agent in my town that's really good on video, I can't do anything, I would say no. You can all be good at it. Like, you know, like it's a bit like saying one agent's got a window display, so the others can't have one. There's always another level, and there's always something else you can do, and develop your own character and your own subject matter and your own way of presenting stuff. You don't. It's not like, oh, one guy's really great, so now it's not worth me bothering, because I think that would be a very a real pity for agents to get into that mindset.
Unless you're in Leicester or
unless wherever anybody else here is. Sorry, Luke. But
no, that's fine. And now's the ideal opportunity to actually polish up those skills to be able to challenge that person that's got that crown.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, Michelle, anything quickly before we move on to the big AB?
I was just going to say, expect a troll from, we had another estate agent on a night out telling one of my colleagues that our others were great because they sat there all day long laughing at us. So it's great that that's what they were doing all day long, because they weren't doing any business because they were far too busy laughing at us. And then the other one is I've got a current troll who's made it into a drinking game. He or she comments on our YouTube quite a lot to say that every time I say what a fantastic kitchen it is, they get more and more drunk. So I'm sure when they're self-isolating, they're going to be absolutely hammered.
Michelle, don't worry, it's me. I'm just reaching for the wine now because you've just said it again.
There you go, you see.
Okay, Alan, I popped down to Wigan and taught you a lot how to do video training, which is interesting. Just for interest, guys, we are we do video training. Obviously, no one's going to want to be doing that. So we're doing a 50-part series on how to edit professionally and how to film and all the kit. That's coming out next few days for a very inexpensive price. Right, Alan.
Yes, sir.
Want to talk about how to persuade your staff to do video? You've had a mixed success on this. How do you clear?
Yeah, the first thing is, your original question was, what fear have you got? I'm in John's camp. I'm not frightened of it, but I'm in Jerry's camp because I'm much closer in age to Jerry than I am to John. It was the technical side. And also, again, from John's point of view, I was the type of business owner where I was doing too much. So everything that came, it was on me. It was all on me, valuations, everything. So I'm not frightened of being on camera at all, but it was the technical side of things which have helped me greatly with. Right, coming to the staff, the catalyst was this, basically. This is what I'm saying. This is where the opportunities will come out of adversity, guys, we need to do this. This is taking the business forward. Now, one salesperson who's still toying with it, who's quite negative about it, is because of self-image. So I'm not pushing that. Other people who I thought would be more conscious about, I'm shy, retiring, whatever, have surprised me, which goes back to my original point. If you ask them, right, some people come up and shine. So as you know, the first one we did, Chris, which you saw, which was on the back of what you'd done, is little Laura did a quick buy-to-let deal on one of our own properties. Now she can't wait. We're going out tomorrow. We're doubling up to give them the support until he can go solo, until he can fly solo. But we've all said, just today in the one-to-ones, Chris, right, one of the things that are going to single us out from the herd, single us out from the crowd, is video content. So you'll be seeing, we were very slow to the game because of me and my lack of technical ability, or fear of technical ability, if you want to call it about fear. But we're now very keen, and Luke bought into it straight away, because I think I told you the story about, he's got a friend who's the top agent in Vancouver who does similar videos to Simon, who we saw, obviously the fees are much bigger. And he went, Alan, you're asking us to do a watered down version of what he's doing. And he's a multi-millionaire. And he did this strange, quirky 70s video, and he rang him and said, Paddy, what is that all about? He said, Luke, I'm not bothered, mate, right? I'm the #1 agent in Vancouver Island, right? I've no problem putting on sunglasses, flares, and a fur coat and doing a video. I said, the house is worth millions. The clients love it. It's quirky. I said, so we're not going that far yet. We're not going down Simon's Road yet, or Patrick's over in Vancouver Island. But the staff, with the exception of 1 or 2 who were still there, but they're looking at the others, the staff have bought in. And again, it's all about that communication. And I've bought in with them. I don't expect them to do anything that I wouldn't do myself.
Quick question before I move on to Sam and Stephen. If things get tough, and you have to look at potentially letting people go, which I'm sorry, we said earlier on, you have to look after the business. Would a negotiator's openness to doing video and going above and beyond have a contributory factor to whether they remain or go?
I'm going to answer that as politically empathetic as I can. Of course, the answer is, Chris, of course, because it's identifying, I think, John, I mean, I know he says it every day, but it's identifying the members of staff who will pull up their big girl and big boy pants. And if you've got somebody that is willing, for the sake of the business and for the sake of their security, to move forward with the business owner's vision, and they can see it themselves from John O'Groats to Land's End through, I mean, I'm sharing your stuff with them, Chris. So I shared that that video editing thing with him and said, Alan, this is great. So the simple answer that I've taken 100 words to say, Chris, of course it will. Of course it will.
Okay, I'd like to go to John Paul quickly and then move to Sam and then Stephen.
Yeah, I've got it now, sorry. At these times, you just need people in the trenches with you. So you don't need snowflakes. You don't need people who are not going to pull up the bootstraps. You just need people who are going to literally batten down the hatches and go to war with you. And if they're not going to do that, I'm sorry, there's no place in my business. Luke,
are you having similar conversations?
Yeah, no, definitely, and we're making use of the Zoom calls and the efforts there. You can see they're booking the valuation, so the valuations are still being booked. They're booking the viewings. They're reporting back on the results to their prospecting. We're giving them. And again, it came back to that communication. So we're giving them different tools. So if we can still do prospecting, we can still do the remote advice consultations or advice meetings. So definitely, and you've just got to explain to people, look, we're in this together. We've all got to play our part.
Okay, Sam.
I think from our perspective, video has been so remarkably more successful for us than anything else. And it stemmed from a fact that, and I say this with the utmost respect to you, Chris, and to you, Jerry, but when somebody writes a blog, you don't necessarily know that the person whose name is on that blog has written it, and you guys do a fantastic job for your clients at giving them wonderful pieces of content to share every week. But the real value is when Luke takes the 2-minute read, internalizes it, and puts it on video every week. Because then it's Luke and it's from Luke, and they understand what Luke looks like and what Luke sound like. We had conversations in the early days in our business about what our marketing was going to be. And the majority of those conversations were around, we can't really afford to spend money on advertising. We can't really afford to do any big campaigns as such. But what we did have is a couple of people who've, as JP says, been in the trenches. I started my career at the back end of the crisis in 2010, where I got a job as a PA and I didn't sell a house for 6 months. We lost every single listing we went into for 6 months, and I'm sitting there going, this guy's paying me a wage. And it was the best learning experience of my entire career. And I wish that I knew what I knew then about marketing, because we would have documented that whole thing and we would have been able to help ourselves and help so many people through that process as well. And so now knowing what I know now, if that makes sense. Video was just, there wasn't any other option, and you, Chris, made it super easy for us to understand what it was. Our videos sucked at the start, but we got over it. We were our biggest critics more than anybody else. I still hate the way I sound. I hate my crooked teeth. I never like my hair, but whatever. Most of the shit that's in my head, people seem to like. So I'll keep getting it out.
I think the magic thing is, guys, is when it comes to video, is don't try and be someone you're not. Be honest. Go with the right attitude, the right intent of giving without expectation of return. Wave your hands in the air like you don't care, like you all do. It is Stephen's turn to speak next, but very quickly, Paul, Jerry, and John Paul in that order. Go.
Before Stephen.
Before Stephen, because...
Okay. Yeah, okay. So I just want to say to anyone who is frightened of it is ultimately, if when you're out on viewings, people are not running away from you. And when you turn up on evaluation, someone opens the door, they don't slam it in your face. And when they're quite happy to come and sit in your office and talk to you as a complete stranger, then you are going to be fine on video. Yeah, you are fine. If people like you and respond to you, buy property through you, entrust you to sell their precious asset, then you are going to be fine on video. You just are.
Jerry?
Yeah, sorry, just quickly in defense of the written word, you have a marketing pillars, you should have several marketing pillars.
Both, Jerry, both.
If your video is not firing and that's your only marketing pillar or your main one, then that's a flaw. I think you need to be strong in all departments.
Michelle?
I hate the mute button. I'm sure my husband would like one for me though. But yeah, so going back to video, I sent Dan at Home Search, one of Sam's crew, a personal video. And the impact on video, he made me one back. But I know that if you can see, can you see that or not? Probably not. But he actually opened it numerous times. And even since me sending it, over a week later, he's opened it again. So you can see the impact video has, but Dan went and actually then had a video recorded back to send me. The difference now is when I've got a problem with Home Search, no offense, Sam, I don't pester Sam because Dan's my mate. You know, me and Dan, we're in this together. And if I've got a problem, I message Dan. If Dan wants to ask how something's working for me, he messages me. And that's just created by a video. The entire relationship changed.
JP.
I love that. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
I mean, one of the things we're talking about here, it's like an either or. It's either written word or it's video. We haven't spoke about as much picking up the phone. We haven't spoke about email marketing. We haven't spoken about getting out there and talking to your community. If you've got 1, 2, possibly 3 marketing techniques, you're going to go bust. You need as many as you possibly can. If you're not communicating via email, you're losing out. If you're not sending emails, you're losing out. If you're not doing the written word, you're losing out. We are the worst marketers in the world for our customers and clients because we think we know better than our customers and clients is a general rule. You've got to look at how people communicate. Not everybody likes the written word. So when you've got an 80, 90-year-old person who needs jam jar glasses, they're not going to like that. But equally, are they going to be the sort of person who can work a video or an iPhone? So you've got to actually look at who you're marketing to and what they prefer. Hence why, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pillars or however you market is actually going to get you in front of more people than your competitors. And now is the perfect time because what is the thing that gets cut most when times get hard? It's the marketing. So now is not the time to cut your marketing. If anything, now is the time to step up your marketing. So now is the time to invest in your videos, invest in your content, invest in your prospecting, get out in the community and actually be the person, because I can absolutely guarantee your competitors are not doing that. They're cutting the customer service, they're cutting the cloth, the service is going to go to shit, and you're going to be left there to mop up pieces if you get ahead of the curve in your market.
I think people need to understand though with this, that marketing can actually be free. With the likes of Facebook, LinkedIn, putting it onto your Google account, sending it out via your email database. Yeah. I mean, I still use local newspapers, and I know people who criticize me for that, but for me, it works very well. But it's knowing your market and making sure your mix or your pillars is all there.
Stephen Brown, please.
You may be joined by my dogs, but I love the way you come to Mr. Technology last, so thank you. So you all know how I've got a reputation for being great at technology. I've got my, Nokia 3210 sitting in front of me, but videos to me has totally made it a level playing field now. And it's an absolute shut up. It's an absolute it's an absolute no-brainer at all. So for me, if I was starting my agency today, I'm going to be very controversial here. I wouldn't go on Rightmove, and I would just be using Facebook, and I would just be using video, and I'll be doing loads of community stuff, as JP says. I'll be going and filming loads of people in the community, and to be honest, I know my videos aren't great, but I choose to do them. And you build up an audience and people get to know you relatively quickly. And Luke's spot on, you may not get anything today. It may take you 15 years to get something. But at this time when people are going to be home, now with Facebook and LinkedIn, now's the time to be doing videos, giving great content, adding value. And when people decide to sell or rent their property, they're going to come to you. And again, JP's spot on opportunity wise. It will be, now's a great time to be networking with other like-minded businesses, communities in your area that actually need support and help as well. So again, if you can give them that support and help now, and maybe go and get them to do a video themselves, share it on your page, do a Facebook. I don't know, Michelle, what's your postcode there in Lancaster, LA1? You know,
LA1 is my main postcode.
Okay, so set up a LA1 Facebook page, do loads of videos, get loads of a community to share videos of there. Be the person that is helping the community, and guess how much that costs you? Yeah, a whole zero. Yep. So it costs you absolutely nothing.
Okay, boys and girls, I think we've been on now an hour and a quarter. What I'd like to do is, I think the community bit is such a huge thing we've just touched on, but I think we can go so much detail. Jerry's got some awesome stuff. Luke, you're the king of digital mayor. Michelle, your videos are very good. JP, you're JP, and Alan, you're working on that nicely. Did you know in Wigan they put pies in bread baps? What I'd like to do is just basically from the top, we'll go Michelle, Paul, John, Luke, Jerry, Alan, Sam, and finally Stephen. Just a couple of lines just to tell you how you're feeling, and basically hopefully we've given value to everyone on this webinar, which will come out tomorrow, Wednesday. And if you like it and everyone in this room is happy to do it, we'll do it all again because it's quite a laugh. So Michelle, how are you feeling, and what's the next week look like?
More positive than maybe I look. I just don't think you can sit there and be negative. You need a plan. You've got to get cracked on with it. No point self-dwelling. As to how the next week looks, I honestly don't know. I'm taking it a day by day, and all I can say is I'm going to keep on going and going and going.
Paul?
I did a post about this last night, actually, and one of the things that has happened is that my brain just suddenly started thinking, well, okay, then what can I do? What other things can I do? What different things? And I would really encourage everyone to. Who are you?
Go. So say goodbye to Michelle.
Bye, Michelle.
Shall I just close my laptop lid? Will that work or not? Or just leave the room empty?
You might squash us.
I'll leave the room empty. Thank you.
Yes, I would really encourage people just to think about that. Like, what can we do? And also, money is a concern. So what can we do for free? Just think about it. What can we do for free or that's cheap? That would be more than what we're doing now.
Jerry.
I just think, in general, the week's going to be.
How are you feeling as a human being? Because I think the biggest thing here is there's a lot of scared people out there, and we can wax lyrical, but fundamentally, how are you feeling, and what's the week look like?
How am I feeling? If you'd asked me about 45 minutes ago, I'd have said great, but my missus has just texted me to say we've only got 10% of our Sainsbury's order turned up. So looks like I'll be getting a little in a minute. Right, I think just general piece of advice, people have got to be more like a Tyson than a turtle. You've got to come out, you've got to fight, you can't shrink into your shell. I've had a chat with JP about this, and people got to come out swinging. You're either going to shrink or you're going to thrive. You just got to go for it, and what will be will be.
Luke?
You've got to, there's positives there, there's opportunities, as Stephen's talked about. We've been dealt the cards we've been given, and we're just going to make the best of the situation.
JP?
Just do it with structure. Don't willy-nilly go on in saying, I'm going to cut this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. Have a plan, stick to it. The ones that will succeed and thrive and come out swinging are the ones that have a very, very strict plan and stick to it. Obviously, measure and test and tweak everything you do to see if it's actually working for you. But get a plan in place and just go for it with as much vigor as you can.
Alan?
I feel challenged, but I'm quite positive about that because I do believe I work best under that sort of challenge. So this is an opportunity for everyone to consider every aspect of the business. So I'm very positive, Chris. I know this will again be a defining moment for my business. So I'm up for it if everybody else is up for it. I know that I've been through 2 major recessions in the past, and I'm much better placed now than I was with the other 2. So positive, Chris. I'm very positive, mate.
Sam, how are you feeling? Has it been hard?
I don't know if hard is the right word. It's been unusual. So we started having conversations about what could happen 3 weeks ago. And as JP said, we came up with a plan, and today we enacted that plan. And genuinely, the most difficult part of our day was realizing that only half the people had read the email about the plan from 2.5 weeks ago. And so we said, go back and read that email so that the next half an hour of your life makes a little bit more sense. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I sent out an email to all our users today where I said chances are things are going to get worse before they get better. But whenever anything sucks, there's an opportunity for the people that, do the hard work. I was going to say suck it up, and I said it anyway, so whatever it is. We're going to use this as an opportunity to get to know our customers better. I don't expect to sell anything, certainly not for a little while, because I can appreciate the pressure that people are going to find themselves under. We've not lost any business yet, touch wood. But I think if you call somebody, particularly in the next 10 days, and say, hey, do you want to buy my stuff? Or, hey, do you want a valuation? Or anything like that, you're not doing yourself and themselves a service as a human being. So I think you've got an opportunity to learn a little bit more about yourself. And I've said to our guys that more and more people are going to figure out that they're made of more than what they think they are. I'm a bit like Alan. I thrive under pressure. I did pretty well at uni, but I only went for about 4 tutorials a semester because it was no fun unless you had to cram, and so this is my cram time. And I think in terms of, if I can leave something with any agents out there, what you do now is going to come back to you in August, so think about what people want from you. Think about what you can offer them for the right reasons, and be that dialect and communicate. I'm not going to say it's going to be all right, because I'm sure there's people that are going to be worse hurt than we are, but we've got our plan. We're going to stick to it. We're going to learn as much as we can about the people who are using us who aren't, and we're going to make their lives and our lives better by hopefully getting some good feedback along the way. And I think that'll put us in good stead come July, August.
Let us leave the final words to Sir Stephen Brown.
Let me mute myself.
What about Luke? Right, so I would have... What?
You are concluding this. No, Luke, you've had your bit, haven't you? Yes, he's had his bit.
I was just making sure he wasn't asleep. Right. I totally agree with John. I would have a 30-day plan, a 60-day plan, a 90-day plan, and a 120-day plan, because I think there's going to be different circumstances that happen all the time. Billy Ocean sings a song, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Jerry's just about to sing it now, so definitely put your headphones in. Control what you can control, and there's a lot of experienced people that have been through this situation before. Reach out to those people, learn from them, ask them questions. I'm sure everybody here is really happy to help, and anybody who wants to reach out to any of us, we're happy to offer advice, help you, point you in the right direction. I've had many sobering conversations in the last 24 hours. It is going to be challenging, let's not sugarcoat it, but there are also going to be opportunities. So, I'll end with what I said earlier: out of every crisis is an opportunity. So look for those opportunities now.
Can I thank you all for coming on this evening? If the feedback's good, we'll hopefully do another one of these next week where we can talk more about being part of the community. So could we all unmute ourselves, pull our jazz hands on, and say goodbye to everyone looking at the camera. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, David Dimbleby,
Thank you
for organising it.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.